All right, without any further ado,
Okay.
here is Linda.
My name was Linda Poole, and I came to Saline County when I was 13 from Little Rock. And I graduated from Bryant. We were the last of the 50s. And my husband graduated from Bryant. He's lived here all his life. We have kinfolks, he has kinfolks that are buried in the cemetery. And they've all come in the late 1800s from here. The Hesters came from Tennessee, and the Kaisers came from Alabama.
So this is your husband's, the Poole?
No, I'm the Poole.
Okay, your husband.
He's the Hester. He's the Hester.
And who else?
The Kaisers came from, that's his mother's maiden name, came from Alabama, and the Lockards came from France. They're into the Kaiser family. And so he's got several buried there. And I don't know where exactly to start, but I'll get out the deed first. The deed to the land at Collegeville. What's this one? I get it. Got all the old papers that look alike.
How did you come into, how'd you get those?
Well, my husband inherited them because he's a trustee he's one of the trustees of the cemetery.
Great.
And anyway, I'll let y'all look at it when you get through because I can't read all this. It's a lot of legal stuff. But in 1905, this was organized. Rosa Donahue, for consideration of the sum of $1 paid in hand and uses for purposes the premises thereafter set forth, do hereby grant, bargain, sell, and convey to C.T. Thomas, Ben S. Donahue, and R.M. Slack as trustees, and unto their successors, whoever they shall constitute the board of the trustees, which the board shall at all times consist of 3 members. In case of a vacancy in the membership, the board can get another member. That's about the rest of it is all.
How many acres?
Huh?
How many acres?
Let's see.
It's bigger than the average
blocks.
two.
It doesn't go in acres, it goes in blocks.
Blocks of Collegeville.
Yeah, blocks 25, 36 in the township of
Yeah, one side.
Collegeville.
Yeah.
Southeast quarter of the northeast section 14. Okay, I'm going to read you something that was in the paper, and it was in the paper in 1980. This was I went to Collegeville Church at that time. The church has nothing to do with the cemetery, nothing. And a lot of people have that misconception that the church owns the cemetery. Nobody really owns the cemetery. It's just the 3 trustees. Okay. Our pastor at that time was Brother Luther Locke. And this came up because at the cemetery at that time, there was a building on it. And I'm going to read you about the buildings and everything. And but at that time, in the building was on Saturday night they would come and play country music.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm here to testify that what Brother Lott said was true. We found all kinds of things on our parking lot. I mean, all kinds of things. The kids would come to the house and mess with the house. And so the preacher just wanted to see how it was situated, who owned the property, the whole bit. So to understand the situation, it's necessary to go back 75 years. In 1904, the late Rosa Donahue deeded a portion of her land to 3 trustees, and the understanding it was to be used as a divine worship. That the portion needed for a church of the Methodist Episcopal Church South was to be administered as a public cemetery. In other words, what the church didn't use, it was to go to a cemetery. A church was built and serving three denominations over the years until a missionary Baptist, the last of the three congregations in the building, bought land just across the fence. That would be Collegeville Church. And they built their own building, which is the church now. A cemetery also began to grow and to cover more than a half of Dunaloo's land inside the fence. Local Boy Scout troops met there.
We voted there.
Yeah, and they voted there, and then the Extension Club.
Rhodes Club.
Home demonstration.
Yeah, home demonstration.
Yeah, Home Demonstration Club was there, and as it goes on to say that that did not bother them. It was like the noise at night, you know. So anyway, okay, let's see. Brother Locke found an old deed and then I guess it's this one. Found an old deed in the Benton Abstract Firm microfilm records. The same time found a way to close the building because it's strictly stated for religious purposes. I'm sure that's what it was. And then the official Methodist church at that time was one in Little Rock. And they had no interest in the cemetery at all. So that we went to the nearest Methodist church, which was the Methodist church here in Bryant, and they didn't want anything to do with it. So it was left just to get the three trustees, and the three trustees would deal with it. And they met and tentative guidelines to use, but our church isn't going to take it over. That was one of the things, because the trustees were members of the church. My husband had many people buried there. Brother Greer, he worked his tail off to get money, and that money has sustained us till now. And now we're not doing so great, and we can't find anybody right now that will mow it. Last year we had a good mower. This year we couldn't find anybody. Me and Evelyn's we've always tried to take up what they couldn't do, you know, we can't do it anymore. There's just no way we can keep our place up and do that too. So at this time, it probably needs mowing right now, pretty bad. But
How did the church get separated? The church land get separated?
well, they bought the land. The church bought the land over the fence.
So the trustees sold the land, or it was sold private?
No.
It was,
no,
the front part of the highway was never part of this.
That's right. It was never part. It was Miss Donahue's, and I'm sure they bought
That's the Medlocks.
Yeah, Medlocks. You know more than I do.
That's her. That's her people.
Medlocks are one of the Metatop. No, it's Metatops. Okay, so that's where we stand. We have other documents here. This is the deed of trust right here, and here's a document that gives more deal on the who was back then. This doesn't actually give a date on this. It's all the things that they needed to do to build the church and stuff. It's just a bunch of names on it, but it's a pretty old document. And I have many stacks of banking stuff and all that kind of stuff, and letters people have written in. But we've had, this is the